Hello, my reader fellows. Today we meet with you in a video which is not vlog, but we will talk a lot about favorite author, my favorite author, one of my favorite author. It's Stephen King. I wanted to tell you about my top 10 of his books, and I wanted to recommend you some of them if you haven't read them yet. And I wanted to tell you that I have read about 40 books of him, and most of them really cool, really enjoyable, and so creepy and atmospheric. So let's start with my top 10, and at the 10th place we have Misery, a psychological thriller horror about people's relationships. We have two main characters, Paul Sheldon, he is a writer, and his number one fan, Annie Wilkes. And in one moment they met, and it was so surprisingly for both of them, because Paul Sheldon was in a car accident, and Annie Wilkes found him and of course brought him to her house. And after this moment our main character started to think that he survived, and Annie Wilkes will help him because she's a nurse and she can treat him because she wants to care about him. So they start to be in a friendly emotions at the beginning, but then we start to understand that something here not so cool, because Annie Wilkes has her point, and it was interesting to understand how from the friendly emotions they start to be enemies, because what Annie Wilkes started to do, it was so horrible, because she started to be like a monster and she wanted to do everything just to have her point, the finishing line which makes her happy. And the next step of Annie Wilkes was so horrible, so creepy, and the reader can't understand what would be the next. Also in the story, I like the moment when the main character Paul Sheldon understood that he's a prisoner in this house, and Annie Wilkes, she's not a helper to him. Also, I like the house here. The house is so creepy, so haunted, and you every time you can understand what would be the next time with the help of a house, because the house is so gloomy, dark, and it was so cool to be there in the story, just like a reader, not just like a Paul Sheldon. So number 9, It's a Joyland, a story which makes me feelings of summer, because it's on the summer, every moment we have which happens in the summer, and we have the main character who has a summer job in a Joyland, and through him we can understand what is a Joyland, who people are there, who works, what we can do there, who the guests, what the guests like to do there. And of course in one moment there will be a detective line, but detective line, it wasn't so interesting for me, because this book for me is so expensive, appreciative, like a moment of understanding the Joyland, because I was like a small girl running from the corner of this park, understanding the area, I can understand what we can do there, smells of popcorn, smells of hot dog, corn dogs, a lot of people who has a lot of joy, a lot of people who have a lot of moments which can give them happiness and in another way sadness. And of course this was the main point for me in the story, and like thanks Stephen King that he gives me a chance to start to be again a little girl and to remember myself in the moments when I can be in a Joyland, in a park, and have some joyful moments and things. Number 8, It's Thinner. Firstly, I met this story in the film. The film is so cool, and after the watching I start to think like, wow, what is a great ideas, what a great film, because it was old film. And for me it was really cool when I understood, start to read the novel Thinner, that this is the film which I watched. And it was so enjoyable to read this one. It was such fast page turner, because the story is interesting and based on a gypsy curse. So in the beginning our main character accidentally bump old lady, she is Romani, and before she died she told the one word Sina, and her father, who has some magical abilities, just to put some curse on this man, and this man start to be not so healthy, and he start to be seen day after day. And the main problem of the story is that the main character, he escaped the punishment from the killing of this lady, because he is a lawyer and he found some some moments in the work process due to his profession. So I think you understand what's going on there. And after some period, our main character started to be not so happy about his weight, because in the beginning he is overweight man and he wanted to be thin. And he tried to have different diets, some physical exercises, but it's not helped to him because he liked to eat some fast food. And of course, when he started to understand that he started to lose his weight, he was happy, but then not, because he can understand that he could die from it, because he started to be so thin that he hasn't a lot of energy, he has not a lot of things for having a normal life then. And he started to try to understand what is the curse, what he need to do with this one, and how to survive. And the thing for surviving was so horrible for myself, because I didn't expect that he decided to do this one, but he decided to do. So, number 7, Salem Slot. The story which based on the strange theme which I didn't expect to see on novel Stephen King, because this story was so unexpected, it was so unusual, it was so gloomy and dark, and it reminds me the Dracula Bram Stoker. And the main character, who is a writer too, he decided to come back to his child town, the Jerusalem Slot, or Salem Slot in the short variant, to understand what's going on there and how people continue to live there. And he started to understand that this city started to be a residence of something bad, because a lot of people died, and this death is not usual, because after some days people return and they start to do some creepy moments. They start to knock at the doors, start to knock on the windows, just to do some scratching sounds near with the houses, and ask alive people one question, just to give them a chance to come in the house. And it was so creepy, it was so atmospheric to be in this story, and we spent a lot of time in the dark rooms without any light, and we can understand that somebody is near with us, and it was so creepy to understand that you are not alone here, but you can see who is here. And the story is so interesting. I didn't expect the finish in which we had this one, and it was so interesting. The story which I just took, because a lot of people talk about this one like you need to read one if you wanted to have a really full mood. Yes, if you wanted to have a creepy full mood, please welcome, take this book, because it's perfect. It's so fast read, and I read all this book maybe 2 or 3 days, and I was shocked that I can't stop reading this one, because I want to know what would be at the end. So the next one, number 6, Desperation. So in the story we have a lot of people, different group of them, who just driving on the isolated highway in Nevada. And in one moment they start to be abducted by a police officer who just stops them with different questions and start to help them with the moment that it's not so comfortable, not so safe to be on this road, and he took them to the small town which name is Desperation. And this abduction was so strange in some moment, because people who didn't want to go with him without any words, they just had some problems with him, because he surprisingly found some drugs in their car, some things which they can't have in their car, or maybe these people were so strange, or maybe he started to tell them that I wanted to save your lives, you need just to come with me and you will be safe. So that's why these people start to understand what is a desperation, or what is a real desolation, and what is really scare moments which they will have there. Because Desperation is the old town which not so friendly for our people, because this town without people, just with houses and with a lot of dead bodies. What's happened there, why it's happened there, it's really strange, and you will see different moments which makes you feel a really shiver and creepy moments. So the next one, number 5. For me, it's one story, but I will show you 2 books. It's The Shining and Doctor Sleep. So The Shining is a story which tells us about relationships of the family. We have Jack Torrance, the main character, who is addicted by alcohol, but he tried to stop. And he found the perfect job for him. It's a job to be in a old ancient hotel in a winter period in the mountains. So no other people near with him, just his family, his wife and his son Danny. Danny is an interesting boy because he has some extremely interesting abilities, which he calls shining, and it was really interesting to understand what is it shining and how he used his ability, because after some moment he started to understand the natural face of the hotel and things which live there. So it was really creepy to be in this hotel after some period, because our main character Jack Torrance started to be mad and he started to do some creepy moments. Also, we can understand the mystery secrets which connect with the hotel and the area near with the hotel, and it was so creepy. Also, it was so dark to be in different corners of this hotel for understanding what's going on. So after some years, Stephen King wrote a continuation, The Doctor Sleep. It's about Danny. He is an adult now and he has work, he has his life, but his life is not so cool because of The Shining and because of the thing which happened in the hotel which we had in the first book. So when one day our Danny start to understand that a girl start to write him some different and some unusual messages, just using her abilities, because she also has The Shining. And it was so cool to understand about their relationships, who are they, what's going on there. And also I like the bad guys here, because we have a gang and they just traveling during their states and wanted to find such kids who has Shining, because they eat the Shining, like smelling the steam of The Shining. And it was really cool to understand what's going on, how our Danny can help this girl, because this girl is the next aim of this gang. So perfect books, perfect continuation of The Shining. If you haven't read the Doctor Sleep, you need to try. So the next one, number 4, Dolores Claiborne. I like this story. I have read this recently and it's just so deeply in my heart, because I really loved the main character. And this story is unusual for Stephen King, because this story, without some titles, without some notice and chapters, without some other extracts, without dialogues, because all this book is a monologue of our main character Dolores Claiborne, because she started to tell all her life what's going on, and now she's an old lady, she's in the police, and she's there because of one accident which happened, and she was there. So she started to tell about her life, her marriage, her kids situations, her area where she lives all her life, and in one moment of her working process, because all her life she works on the one rich lady who in one moment just accidentally died. And now Dolores Claiborne, she is a main suspect in this death, and she tried to explain why she didn't do this one, and also she doesn't want to have any secrets, and she tells everything what happened in her life. I love the main character. She's so cool, funny, ironic old lady. He all the time doesn't want to say something secretly, and she just giving the truth. I was so happy to read this story, because a lot of years I just put it away for understanding, like, oh, a story about old lady, what can I find there? No, it's so cool. Now it's the first place. I love this one, it's so cool. So we are here, the 3 books which I loved more from the Stephen King's books. The third one is Needful Things, story about a shop and a shop seller who just accidentally opened in one small town in Castle Rock in Maine, the favorite location of Stephen King, and we will see what is it the shop, because shop's called Needful Things. You can find everything you want, every dream, every moment which you read, sing, listen, but you wanted to have it, you will find in this shop, because this shop is based for selling some antique, some needful thing, and everybody who can come there for 100% will find thing which he or she need. So, and the story is interesting that you just need to pay for this thing, not like money. You need to pay it with the help of a prank, with small jokes, with dreading things, and sometimes people can understand that it's so rude, it's so scared to do something, but they continue to do this one because they wanted to have this thing. And this was the main creepy moment in the story, because I was really interested in what's going on next. What is the next step of this guy? What they need to do for having this thing which they wanted to have. And for me, it was sometimes creepy for understanding that people can't stop. They can't stop in the moment when they understood that it's not good. I don't want to do this one. No, they continue to do this one. Number 2, The Stand, the biggest novel of Stephen King, and it's so cool to understand that it's about pandemic and after pandemic period, because we have the laboratory, and there we have some virus which just came out from the laboratory, and we have a pandemic in the US territory, and a lot of people really were ill and they died. We just try to survive with a lot of people, try to understand what we need to do next, what's going on next, and in the story we have the war between evil and angels, and we have two groups of people, the good and the bad gang. And from different points of the states, we just come in one, just for understanding who we are, what we need to do, and how to survive. So all this trip from one point to another point was so horrified, and it was so cool to be with the different characters, and you can understand what's going on in the different states, because we had a lot of traffic jams with dead bodies inside in the cars, some creepy dark tunnels with some strange noises, scratching, sometimes with dead people. It was so insane to be there. It was so scary, and if you really wanted to feel scared, you can read The Stand, because I was in shock to read this one. And the first one, are you ready? The First Place, The Biggest Love. I adore this book. It's Christine. Christine, it's a car. It's a wonderful car. She's so beautiful, and from the first moment when our main character saw her, he was in love, and he decided to buy her, but she was so old, not so cool, and he need to spend a lot of money, time, just for making her look better and for driving. But after some period, our main character and his friends start to notice that the car help herself and injure herself without people's help, without money, without other things, without tools, details, without nothing. She just injured. And in one moment, from the old, not beautiful and ugly car, we can see wonderful, shining, red beauty, which is the star of the city. Of course, in the one moment in the city, we can hear that something happened not cool. A lot of people died accidentally, and people don't notice that it could be connected with the car or with the people or with something, because all these things which happen with people, it's really accidentally, and sometimes people can understand like, oh, it was just a car accident, or oh my god, it was just his problem that he just fell down, and so on. It was perfect reading for me. It was so fast read. I don't think that I will read in the nearest future another book which can stand on the first place. Christine with me maybe for 3 or 4 years, and all these years she's at the first place. So tell me about your favorite books of Stephen King, which one you like, which one you read, or maybe you read but you don't like this. Thanks, see you next video. Bye!